I've got a two-part series on 6 creative ways that you can use reverbs in your music productions. If you're curious to know, then check out this series. Stay tuned. Hello everyone, and welcome to Distinct Mastering. My name is Freddie. I'm a mastering engineer, producer, DJ, and president of Sleeping Giant Music. For over 2 decades, I've helped artists grow their careers, and now I'm here to help you with your music production skills. If you like my content, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and the bell notification will keep you up to date. Now let's chat about 6 different ways you can use reverbs creatively in your music productions. Alright, welcome to the 2-part series on creative ways to use reverb. I've got 6 different methods to show you and tricks that you can use in your music productions on how you can use reverb in a creative way. So let's get into it. Okay, the first creative way to use reverb is using the classic Reverb Swell. Now, this is very common and very famous, but some people may not know how to do it. The real trick to doing this is you have to use the reverse reverb. So let's go ahead and play you this vocal shot that I've got here from Splice. And it's a great vocal shot. It's got a long delay. I'm not a big fan of the ones like that, but for the purpose of this video, it's gonna work. So let's go ahead and create the Reverb Swell. It's actually called a reverse Reverb Swell that I'm talking about. First, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate this track. And I'm gonna go ahead and mute this so I don't have to hear. This is gonna be our dry at the top, and I'm gonna call this Verb Swell so you know which one is which. Now you're gonna want a reverb, that's fairly long or, medium, whatever you prefer. I'm going to go ahead and pick this wooden recording space. For some reason, I seem to gravitate towards this one in the Pro R. You don't have to use FabFilter. You can use the stock Ableton reverb, any reverb. But what you want to do is you want to turn the decay up to a reasonable amount because you need a nice tail. And another thing that you can do is you can play with the tonal characteristics of this reverb. So let's turn up this brightness and maybe a little bit of this character. Turn up the stereo width if you want. I don't want to go too crazy with that, but you definitely want to make sure your mix is 100%. Now, this has an EQ in it. It can be adjusted if you'd like, if you want to take, some of these highs back up or do whatever you want to do here. At the end of the day, what I would suggest is that maybe you kind of take away some of the low end and just focus it a little bit more on the mids and the highs, or just the mids itself. If you want that low end, you could do that, but if you've got some bass and other low end information, it's gonna mask this, so that's not the point. Make it nice and long, get it sounding where you want. You may have to try it a few times, but once you think you've got it, I'm gonna go ahead and freeze this track, and then I'm gonna flatten it to audio. Now, if you're in another DAW, you can route the audio to another track and record that in. And now what you've got is you've got your reverse reverb tail. I'm going to go ahead and extend this. And what I'm going to do is push this over here. And from here, I'm going to go ahead and just reverse this. And what I get is something like this. And so if I take this and bring the two together, you can play with where you want this to begin. You may want to have it kind of, one of the common tricks is to kind of have it overlap a little bit, but you can then also put a fade and adjust how this comes in. And so what you're going to end up with is something like that. And when you put the two together, you get the famous reverse reverb swell up trick. So whatever you want to call it, it has a lot of names. You could also put a fade in the beginning. That's a cool trick. I use it all the time. It doesn't have to just be used with vocals. You can use this with synths. You can use it with drums. You can use it with drum hits. You can make your own transition effects with tricks like this. So definitely, if you're not using this trick, you're missing out. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is using reverb early reflections. And what I'm going to do is show you what I've got going on with this drum loop. I've got a real simple drum loop here. It's pretty basic. I just took it from a sample pack. I didn't create it myself. It's royalty free for the purpose of this video though, which is the most important. And what I want to do is I'm going to send it off to this plate reverb here. And with this, I've got it here on a basic setting, but I'm going to go ahead and put on, let's pick this. It could be a drum plate or a vocal plate. Let's try this drum room tight fat. I like doing this with plate reverbs, and I definitely sometimes do this with top basses. I'll put a small plate reverb on, but I'm gonna try this drum room tight fat since I've got a drum loop. And the trick here is you wanna make sure, since I'm using a send and return, I have a video on auxiliary sends. I'll leave you a link up above so you can check that out. The trick here is that you have your return here, but you want to turn you just want to turn the decay all the way down, so you're just getting those early reflections. And then you have your return volume here, which you can mix it in. So if I take it all the way down, look at if I increase the width. I wouldn't really do that for the drums, but especially not the kick. But look what I just turned that into. It's a little bit more dry, a little bit more, maybe you don't want all that big reverb tail, but you just want to get some nice room tones or plate tones. This is a cool trick to try. It's just grabbing those early reflections of the reverb and using it in a different way. There it is, off once again, and back on. All right, and the third trick here for creative ways to use reverbs is the shimmer up 1 octave. And so what I've got here is I've got a chord sample that I just took from Splice. Let's go ahead and play it for you. Very simple. I'm going to duplicate that. I've already got this warped, as you can see. I actually just quickly put it in complex mode. And I'm going to move this up 1 octave. Now I've got this. And a cool trick that I can do here is I'm going to go ahead and actually just take this plate reverb and paste it here. But I'm going to change this to a, let's try this vocal gold plate. And what I have now, without the first one, is I've got this crazy sounding octave up shimmering thing where I can adjust, the width or whatever the reverb offers. You want to leave this 100%, but then you want to turn the volume down. And look at that. Here's before. It's giving it another element, but it's the same sound, just an octave up. And it's not just using the same reverb. You could then even bust both of these to a reverb and kind of melt them together if you'd like, or a glue compressor or something. But this is kind of a cool trick. I got wind of this somewhere a long time ago. I don't use it very often, but if I'm trying to get maybe a sound to kind of pierce out, I might try the octave up and the shimmer reverb with it. So that is the third way you can use reverb creatively. And that's part 1 in a 2-part series on how you can use reverbs in your music productions creatively. If you have any questions, shoot me a comment down below. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and the bell notification will keep you up to date. Once again, my name is Freddie from Distinct Mastering, and have a great day.